We have this mentality in the media, and particularly among black media, that there must be black affirming care applied to Deion Sanders. And I reject that, because it's no different than gender affirming care in terms of like everything must be affirmed. And that's what Deion went into that first game post-game press conference looking to be affirmed. And anybody that didn't affirm him previously, he was going to call out. And Steve, when it comes to sports and when it comes to men, resistance is how you build greatness. It's how you build great men. Whoever the strength coach is at Colorado, whoever the strength coach is at any university, any sports program, resistance is the key. You don't need to be affirmed. You need resistance in the weight room. You go to the military, they're gonna provide resistance. It's not gonna be, let me affirm you. This is all a feminine approach to sports and to Deion that does not help him. And I'll say this, and people will be pissed at me for saying this, but cut this clip. All you guys out there making YouTube videos criticizing me and Jason Whitlock's a sellout and he's hard on Deion Sanders. I want all of you, I'm talking to all of you. If Deion and this thing goes well, give me the credit.
Wait, what? You want to constantly attack Deion Sanders, call him a fraud, but somehow if he succeeds, it's because of you. You can't make this shit up. A lot of people have asked me to comment on the absurdity that Jason Whitlock has been posting about Deion Sanders. I haven't made a video about it because I've been trying to figure out what the hell Jason Whitlock is doing. What kind of bug does he have up his ass against Coach Prime? I can't figure it out. Now understand, despite what a lot of people say and how they say it flippantly, Jason Whitlock is a successful sports journalist. Not so much sports anymore, but he's been successful. He's not a wannabe whatsoever, and his YouTube audience is quite large. In an effort to give full disclosure, I have been a Jason Whitlock fan for quite some time, and we have some similarities beyond that of our size. And don't go there. He's black and I'm black. He's a Christian and I'm a Christian. He's conservative and I consider myself conservative. And as a Christian, I try to live my life as best as possible, adhering to Christian values. I consider myself a thinker, somewhat of a deep thinker. I'm a straight shooter, but I don't shoot from the hip. I research, I reason, and I use plenty of forethought. And with all that, for the life of me, I cannot understand why Jason Whitlock is attacking Deion Sanders. And I really can't agree with, and actually I oppose anybody who is a Christian telling another Christian that they aren't Christian enough. While the Bible tells us not to sin, it does not preclude your entry into heaven and being with the Father. Your ticket is punched when you proclaim your faith and accept Jesus Christ as your Lord. Period. Full stop. But Jason Whitlock seems to think otherwise, and he's gone way over the top. He's called Deion Sanders a scammer, a fraudster. He's insinuated that he's even a fake Christian. There's not much of a worse insult to call a man than those three things, especially when it's merely an opinion. I find it compelling how so many people are just attacking Deion Sanders on a daily basis. He has definitely touched a nerve. Not sure why, but he definitely has. But in contrast, every time somebody takes a shot at Deion Sanders, he takes a step back, wishes them well, and in fact sometimes forgives them and blesses them. Listen to what he said in a recent interview about Jay Norwell after Jay Norwell insulted him and his mother.
You know, I could be petty if they petty, but I ain't got time for that, man. I'm on to bigger things. I'm happy for the brother. I really am, man. I'm happy that they fought, that they played a good game. I'm happy he's a head coach. I'm happy for any brother that's doing it and successful, man. I truly am. I don't know where all this stuff come from. I have to respond because, you know, it's my mama taught me that. You just ain't gonna attack me and I'm gonna sit back and ain't gonna say nothing. But I'm happy for that dude, man. I don't know him, but I'm happy for him. I wish the best for him. I really do. Nothing. My success ain't got nothing to do with his. So why would I want him to succeed? I don't know how people get down like that. My blessings ain't got nothing to do with his blessings.
And then recently he came to the defense of the player who laid that dirty hit on Travis Hunter, who's been getting death threats. And Deion said, no, enough, stop. He came to the kid's defense. Yet this is the guy that Jason Whitlock really has a problem with. Jason has hit Deion Sanders hard and often, but let's break down a little bit of what he's been saying recently. And if you haven't heard it, some of this is quite scathing.
Deion wanted to escape the poverty and crime of Jackson, Mississippi, where he spent a little more than 2 years coaching at Jackson State University. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with Deion lying about his motivation and lying about the brutal tactics he used to overhaul the Colorado roster. No one is spewing and hearing more lies this football season than Deion Sanders.
Ooh. No one is spewing more lies than Deion Sanders. How do you possibly quantify that? How do you possibly look at what Deion Sanders has said this football season and say that a grown-ass man is the biggest liar in the football world? Why would you say such an inflammatory statement? There's no way you can quantify that. There's no way you can substantiate it. The reason you would say something like that is to do nothing but incite people and just defame Deion Sanders. Jason Whitlock, I thought you were bigger than that. But he continues.
He's college football's golden calf, an idol to be worshipped by sports broadcasters, social media influencers, and sports fans ruled by racial idolatry. He's won three major college football games, and people are hailing him as the modern-day Bear Bryant.
I haven't heard one person call him a modern-day Bear Bryant. I have not heard anybody compare Deion Sanders to Bear Bryant. I would challenge Jason Whitlock to find some reference points. Send me a link. Show me a video where anybody has compared Deion Sanders to the legendary Bear Bryant.
It's a joke. The 19th ranked Buffaloes are greatly overrated. In-state rival Colorado State outplayed them on Saturday and gave the game away with self-inflicted wound.
Now understand, Colorado State was pumped. The coach did have them ready. But to say they were outplayed and that the self-inflicted wounds are what kept Deion from having to win in the fourth quarter is completely diminishing the play of that team and how they came back in the fourth quarter and overcame adversity. Lest he forget, which I know he hasn't because he's been going after Deion incessantly about Travis Hunter playing both ways, they lost Travis Hunter in that game. They lost their top defensive back, arguably the top defensive back in the country. They lost their top wide receiver, one and the same. But he didn't mention that, and he didn't mention the intestinal fortitude that these kids had to exhibit to overcome an 11-point deficit. That's diminishing the effort that those kids put together on that field.
The transfer portal, NIL, and the total abandonment of ethics has fueled Colorado's so-called miraculous turnaround.
Now hold on a second. When you're talking about ethics, and you're talking about an absence of ethics, what you're saying is someone has done something beyond the rules, beyond the regulation, against the law, none of which is true. It is not Deion Sanders' fault that the NCAA approved NIL and approved the transfer portal. Deion didn't make those decisions. Of course he's exploiting it. Those are the new rules. Those are absolutely the new rules. Come on, Jason, be better than this.
You cannot compare what Deion Sanders is doing to the turnaround efforts of previous coaches because before the last 2 or 3 years, no coach had the opportunity to overhaul their entire roster in one season.
But that's not his fault. I remember as an offensive lineman, I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't extend. The rules changed. The game changed, which allows people now to use their hands. I remember back in the days of the Oakland Raiders watching Lester Hayes put stickum all over his body, his shirt, and everything else to help him get interceptions. Can't do that anymore. The game changed. It's changed so much in the last 5 years. I don't even recognize some of the stuff that's happening. There's like no tackling. Tackling sucks. But that is the game that is being played today. You can't blame the institutional changes of the game on Deion Sanders. What other coaches had to go through and what they were held under, the governance that they had to follow, it's different. Of course they didn't do it back then. They couldn't. That's such a lame argument.
Great coaches were tasked with the job of coaching the kids they inherited better than their predecessors.
I agree. Coaches back then had to do things a certain way. They didn't have a choice. Then again, we didn't have men in women's bathrooms, but now we do. Things have changed. Things have evolved. I don't like it. I don't like NIL. I don't like the transfer portal. I definitely don't like men in women's bathrooms or in women's pools swimming against women. But if the law is what it is, if those are the rules, it doesn't matter how upset I am. It doesn't matter that I look upon it as insane. I can't stand NIL. I can't stand the transfer portal. But guess what? Those are the rules. Deion didn't make those rules.
This is a money thing. From him in press conferences, what I see from him in 60 Minutes, he's just a brand.
Is there a problem with that? Is there a problem with having a brand? Jason, you're a brand. Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm a brand. Fanfare with Barry Cunningham. That's what we all are. We are marketing. The biggest brand you have is you. Be a brand called you. I was taught that in my advertising, guys. Be a brand called you. He is, of course, a brand. There's nothing wrong with that.
To be the face of their program, he's an avatar. And then they said, Deion, here's a check. Go out and buy all the players you want. We'll make them name, image, and likeness deals. And go out and buy any of the coaches you want. We'll overpay them to be the offense and defensive coordinators. And
Whoa. Overpay them. Says who, Jason? Who says you're overpaying them? If that's what you want, if you want a Rolls Royce, if you want a Mercedes, are you paying too much when you could also have a Honda or two instead? That's a personal choice. This school has decided to go out and surround this team, surround this head coach with the best resources possible. Why does that bother you?
the assistant coaches. He's a brand with a blank check to buy a team. Let me be clear. I don't have a problem with it.
Obviously you do. You just spent time and you've been spending video after video telling everybody how he's a fraudster and a scammer, and then you pre-qualify everything or try to qualify and say, yeah, but you know what, I'm okay with that. No, you're not. If you were okay with it, you wouldn't have brought it up.
That's how the game is played right now. That's how college football and college sports have collapsed from an ethics perspective, from a fairness perspective.
But no, it has not collapsed. That is where the governing body, the NCAA, has gone to. Your thought process may be, hey, this is collapsed. This is wrong. And I would agree with you. I do not like NIL. But it doesn't mean the ethics have collapsed. It doesn't mean that Deion is a fraudster or a brander, or yeah, he's a great marketer. And he's like, there's my niche. This is where I'm going to go. I'm going to get somebody who's got the resources to pay for what I need to win. And I'm going to use the rules that are available to my benefit. There's nothing wrong with that. I wish he would come out and say the problem that he really has. It's almost as if he longs for the day of yesterday, that he wishes things were back to the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, don't we all?
That's the way the game runs now.
That's the way the game runs now. No reason to be upset about it, and definitely no reason to blame Deion Sanders. But let's continue.
Cut a check, buy coaches, buy players. Got it. I don't have a problem with it.
Sure.
My problem is with Deion and the people selling it as some sort of righteous, godly, black empowering movement.
Some righteous, godly, black empowering movement. Take each one of those by themselves. Righteousness. So he's saying that what Deion is doing is people are misconstruing it as righteousness. Even at a recent press conference where he defended that CSU player, he goes, "This is football." That's all it is. This is football. Godly. He's living his life in the Christian valuation that he believes is correct. I can't tell him that he's wrong. Jason, you can't tell him that he's wrong. There's only one person who can speak to him and say, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong." And then, until he gets that message, I think you need to shut up about the godly stuff. As for black affirmation and all the other crazy stuff, if he helps bring up people who feel like he's speaking on their behalf, if that's what they need, what's the problem? I don't understand. You haven't needed that affirmation. I haven't needed that affirmation. You've been successful. I've been successful. There's a lot of people out there, black people, who don't feel that they have had the success, nor the leader who can show them how to get that success. And hence, I don't think it's affirmation. It's like, wow, this can happen. We can see a black leader in college football. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not sure why Jason does.
It's none of those things. It's a money grab by all parties.
He thinks it's a money grab, that everybody's only in it for the money. They have no other value. How many dollars can I grab from the University of Colorado? How many endorsements? I'm going to sell sunglasses. This has nothing to do with these kids. This has nothing to do with the Boulder community. This has nothing to do with the school. I just want to make money. Come on, Jason.
If you actually know what you were watching Saturday night when Colorado played Colorado State.
Now this is going to piss off a lot of people. And this is obviously a personal issue. You know how Deion says things are personal? This is personal. And Jason, I love you, bro. You are being 100% personal based upon, quote, your personal opinion. Nothing else, nothing more.
You could see the fraudulence everywhere.
No, I can't see the fraudulence everywhere. I saw a bunch of people having a good time at a football game. What's fraudulent about that? It doesn't make any sense at all.
You could see it in pregame, you could see it during the game, you could see it at halftime, you could see it postgame, you can see it on 60 Minutes. The fraudulence was everywhere Saturday.
Now understand the word fraud. Fraud means fake. Actually, no, it doesn't. Fraud is a crime. If you commit fraud, you are committing a crime. You can be fake. You can put on a costume and be a clown and be fake. You can smile at a camera and lie. But in order for you to commit fraud, you are basically breaking the law. Now, obviously, I think Jason feels like they're breaking some sort of law between man and God. I don't know. But by calling somebody a fraud, you're taking it and making a judgment on someone's personal being and mindset. Calling someone a fraud and saying you could see it everywhere. There was fraud everywhere, but he won't be able to define that.
Know what you're looking for if you're an objective observer, if you have a set of standards and values that you stick to.
If you have a set of standards and values that you stick to. Whose standards and values? Yours? Because you're not talking about mine. You're not talking about Coach Prime's. Whose standards and values are you referring to? You're obviously referring to your own standards and values, and you expect others to live up to that. That's not cool, man. That's definitely not cool.
The man claiming God as his motivating force.
Okay. Again, you're inferring that he's wrong, that he doesn't claim God, or that God isn't his motivating force. Who are you to say that? Who are you to determine whether or not God motivates Deion Sanders?
Invited the gangster rap world to his locker room, to his sidelines, to Boulder, Colorado, and everywhere.
Authenticity is what he's talking about. He keeps calling things a fraud, and now he's saying that he's got rappers and everybody else out there. What he's really saying is he doesn't like rappers. You don't know the values that those guys have any more than they know the values that you have. If I go to eat sushi, I don't want a guy who flips burgers making my sushi. I want authentic people making my sushi. If I go to an Italian restaurant, I'm hoping it's not a chef that doesn't know how to make Italian food. You want to cater to your audience. You want to make sure your audience has the best experience possible. Jason, you know that. You're doing it with your YouTube audience. Deion Sanders knows how to talk and reach these kids. He understands these kids, college kids in the stands, college kids in the locker room, what they're all about. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that you play to your audience? That's why they were there. Would you have rather they brought in Mozart and had somebody playing a harpsichord? No, it doesn't fit. You wanted, and I understand what you wanted Christian singers in there. Christian singers aren't going to motivate me to run full speed into another guy. Come on, Jason, remember yourself and remember the audience that Deion is trying to reach.
This has everything to do with uplifting himself and other elites. Oh, God told me to do this, God that. The entire, on the sidelines, Lil Wayne, Key Glock, The Rock, Master P, Offset, the whole rap community.
My young 14-year-old grandson, who is, if you saw him, you would consider him white, as my daughter married a white man, and so he looks white. Do you know what, in his Christian upbringing, you know what motivates him before every single game? Yeah, you got it, rap music. That's what the kids listen to. Talk about being out of touch.
Whole gangster rap community, that's who Deion front and centered for all of Boulder, Colorado.
Have you heard anything yet that really says what his problem is? I haven't. He's continuing on and on, making extreme judgment calls, but he's not really saying what his problem is. I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever.
But this is a God thing. And I'm supposed to be good with it.
No. I don't care if you're good with it. Who said that Jason Whitlock has to be good with it? Who said that Jason Whitlock has to approve? I didn't see that edict come down from the NCAA, and I definitely didn't see it come down from God.
I'm supposed to allow this man to sit up.
You hear the words that he's saying? I'm supposed to be good with it. I'm supposed to allow this man. Who the F are you? What do you mean allow him? I didn't know he had to go seek your eminent permission. There's something wrong here. There's something really wrong here, Jason.
And package what he's doing as a God thing, and I'm just supposed to let it ride.
No, you don't have to let it ride. It has nothing to do with you. It's none of your damn business. You can't pass judgment. It's not for you to give permission. It's not for you to allow or let ride or not let ride. You're exposing yourself here.
He can wrap up God however he wants. He can attach it to all these secular wannabe thugs, all of that debauchery.
How do you know these guys are wannabe thugs? Now you're diminishing other people. This is so far out of the Christian realm, I can't even understand it. Why would you even be saying these things about other people if you are a Christian?
All of that foolishness, he can attach it to that and say, oh, this is a God thing. I'm doing this for God. Really?
Yeah, really.
Stop the line.
You're calling him a liar.
This is a money thing. It's a radical materialist thing. And this has nothing to do with uplifting Black people.
I could go on and just talk about this stuff over and over and over. And the stuff he's saying, he is putting what Deion Sanders has been doing and has done in his set of values and telling people that he's not going to allow it. That he is the person that needs to just can't stand by and let it ride because he just can't sit by and let this be what it is. It's football. Yeah, he's going to make money. So are a bunch of NFL players making money. And yes, Deion says he believes in God. He says he believes in Jesus. Who are you to define his level of Christianity? I just don't get it.
This has everything to do with uplifting himself and other elites. Black elites love pretending they're taking bold public stances for the betterment of the working class and poor Black people. Oh my God, I'm just here for my people. I just saw George Floyd and Breonna Taylor.
Now, I never bought into the Breonna Taylor, whatever her name is. I never bought into the George Floyd stuff. I think it's absurd, but I don't make fun of people. Tell me anywhere in a Christian set of values where it's okay to demean and make fun of people.
And Trayvon Martin and Ahmaud Arbery, I'm doing all of this for you. I'm taking these bullets for you. It's BS. Absolute and utter BS.
I don't even know how to address that. I've gone on long enough in this video as it's been, but this guy is just completely over the top. He obviously has a serious problem with Deion Sanders. Serious problem with Deion Sanders. Unfortunately, Jason Whitlock has set his sights on Deion Sanders, and he has no intention of letting up anytime soon.
Because I'm the only one putting any pressure on Deion. I'm the only one applying any resistance to Deion. Warren Sapp, everybody that's got a problem with me, Warren Sapp, and obviously I love Warren. Obviously, but texted me after they went 2-0 on Saturday. What you say now? And I said, it's still early. It wasn't an impressive victory. And he's like, oh man, this is personal. I'm like, man, this is not personal. I'm telling you, I want Deion to be successful, and that's why I'm going to continue to stay on his rear end and try to whip him into shape and into a mentality that works over the long haul, because everybody that's affirming everything that he's doing eventually is going to destroy him, and we could be looking at Mel Tucker 2.0 because we haven't applied the proper pressure and resistance on Deion. Pressure makes diamonds. Deion needs some, he's gonna get it from me.
I don't understand it, I don't condone it, and I find it to be way over the top, quite excessive. In my opinion, if Jason Whitlock cares so much about Deion Sanders' soul, why not go out and meet with him, sit in front of him, face to face, man to man? After all, Deion Sanders ain't hard to find. Let me know what you think about this feud between Jason Whitlock and Deion Sanders. I'd love to hear your comments. Talk to you soon.